Black Ops 2 Origins, released 12 years ago, back then, stepping into No Man's Land for the first time felt like magic. The fog, the giant robots, the staffs, people still call it the greatest zombies map ever made. But after all this time, does it actually hold up? Or have we just been blinded by nostalgia? How's it going, everyone? My name is Bearsy, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Origins to see if it is still the best map ever made. Let's dive in. So before Origins has actually released, let's take a trip back down memory lane and look at Black Ops 2 Zombies during its prime. So Black Ops 2 Zombies actually had some very good parts and also some very bad parts. Yes, I'm looking at you, Transit. You were the worst part of Black Ops 2 Zombies. But besides the point, we had a very interesting experience within Black Ops 2 Zombies. It was just very different from something like Black Ops 1 Zombies and even World at War Zombies. But fast forward to when DLC 4 has actually released for Black Ops 2 Zombies, Treyarch really wanted to try something different for Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Zombies. And when they released Origins, something felt different, something felt unique, something felt right. It was just a very, hopeful experience because this was something that we've never seen before. Giant robots, the return of our OG characters, which is now known as the Primus crew, and everything else in between. So, what made Origins feel different from every Zombies map before it? So the first thing that I want to touch up on is going to be the wonder weapons of the map. Notice I did it plural there, because at the time, this was huge. We didn't get one wonder weapon, we got 4. Known as the Origin Staffs. Now we had 4 different elemental variants known as fire, electric, wind, and ice, and honestly, this felt completely unique during the time, and these are honestly the best wonder weapons that we could have ever asked for. Not to mention, all these, felt like a unique way to get it, like each one was its own Easter egg quest within itself, and they were all upgradable as well, so if you didn't want to run the base variant the entire game, you could honestly just upgrade them, and this can get you to high rounds easily, and the way to obtain these was just magical. But besides the staffs, we also had a very good environment as well. It was like this diesel punk World War I setting that they were going for, something that we have never seen before within a Call of Duty Zombies games. Sure, we had Alcatraz Island and a theater, but nothing as ambitious as this. It was just a perfect environment. It was a snowy atmosphere, snow falling down, rain falling down, just everything else in between. This really did feel like a gritty Zombies map, and with our characters, the Primus crew, meeting for the very first time here, it just felt right, like it was supposed to happen, because honestly, this is one of my best memories with this map. The 4 characters meeting for the first time, just such a good feeling. Another cool thing was honestly, the 1,000-foot robots that, walked across the map. And the fact that if you look up and you see them, you're like terrified, like you don't know what to do. Because honestly, who wants to get stepped on a 1,000-foot robot, unless you're actually getting the wind staff parts or you're actually doing the Easter egg, and I'll talk about the Easter egg in a second. But this was just such a cool thing that we have never experienced, in gaming history before. 1,000-foot, robots just walking across the map is something to actually be terrified of. And we also had objective-based progression. Simply, you don't just walk up to a power switch and you get power for the entire map, or it wasn't on by default. No, what you had to do was power up 6 generators across the map in order to actually access things like perks, mystery box, and also the Pack-a-Punch location. This just felt very different during the time, and honestly, power was earned. It wasn't given like older Call of Duty Zombies titles, so this really did feel unique. So last thing I want to touch up on is going to be the Easter egg finale. How many of you guys actually remember completing the Origins cutscene and seeing that final cutscene and just getting goosebumps? Like, this really did feel not like a traditional cutscene, but more like a movie. This is also when a lot of fans really wanted a Call of Duty Zombies movie too, just a side note there, but this really did feel unique. It really just felt like a great ending to Black Ops 2 Zombies as a whole. Everything I just said is true, but here's what people conveniently forgot. So let's take a look at the worst thing with Origins, that being the MUD system. Now, if you guys don't know what the MUD system is, pretty sure 99% of you do, but this made your movement speed, really slow. Like, it was an essential thing to get stamina up within this map, because, without it, you'd be moving at a snail's pace. And honestly, with the mud being in play, it just made a lot of the training spots, very forgiving. Like, for example, when Generator 4 or Generator 5 in Pack-a-Punch, you couldn't really train there because of the mud unless you had stamina. So for that reason, the mud is honestly the worst thing about this map. But there's another worst thing about it that just made it feel so slow, is the setup time. Now, what I talked about earlier is, the objective-based progression where you had to go through each of the generators. Well, this also made the startup time of you actually getting set up very slow, because unlike Kino der Toten, when you flip a power switch and everything is on, you really do have to actually go to each generator and stand on it, wait, and then go all the way around the map, open up doors, go to each generator, and actually activate them so you can get your perks, mystery box, and capture all 6 to finally Pack-a-Punch your gun. This really did feel super slow, but once you actually did get set up within Origins, what were you going to use in the late game? Well, a lot of people actually only flocked to one weapon. While there were 4 staffs, only the Ice Staff was widely considered the best wonder weapon within Origins, and nobody would touch the other staffs. If you wanted to actually use the Fire Staff in late game, you could, but it was much better using the Ice Staff because it was the only thing that actually got you to high rounds within this game. And the other 3 staffs really didn't feel like it mattered when you were a solo player. But that was just one staff, right? Well, if we look at the map as a whole for a second, take the buildables, for example. This had a ton of buildable parts within. You had 4 staffs that you had to get the parts for. Then you had to upgrade them if you wanted to upgrade them. Do each, main quest. Then you had to actually, build the zombie shield. Then you also had to build the Maxis drone. For a casual player out there, this really did feel like simulation overload because they really had to go step by step by step to actually progress really far in the rounds. Sure, you can use something as simple as the Mauser and, just a Pack-a-Punch shotgun, but if you really want to get to the high rounds, casuals really had to actually up their game here and build, the Ice Staff or build the Electric Staff to actually get to round 50 plus. And to top it off, with all the build overload that we had with the staffs, the Maxis drone, and the shield, something very terrifying came at the start of very early rounds, that being the Panzer Soldat. Now, I can't mention that this is a great zombies enemy. In fact, probably one of the best zombies enemies that we've ever seen, but the fact that it comes so early and the fact that how frequent they come in higher rounds, just really made this map feel a lot more difficult. Combine things with the setup time, the mud, the Panzer Soldat really did feel like a threat for early zombie players. I cannot begin to mention how many times I went down to this thing when I first started to play Origins, and that's what really stands out to me the most is the Panzer Soldat. But with all the positives and the negatives out of the way for Origins, how does Origins actually play today? So now fast forward 12 years later, how does Origins feel in 2025? And honestly, it feels, fine. It doesn't feel like a too challenging map. It doesn't feel like a too difficult map because I have been playing zombies ever since World at War Zombies, so I know how to navigate this map. And honestly, it really does feel the same as it did back then with like the environment, the staffs, and everything else in between. Sure, we are older, so it's going to feel a lot different than actually playing it as a kid, but this really does have a nice challenging mix to it. In fact, they even remastered it in Black Ops 3, and honestly, it kind of feels a lot easier with Black Ops 3 zombies because you have gobblegums, you have alternate ammo types, and also you just had a lot more things going for Black Ops 3 zombies than opposed to Black Ops 2 zombies. And should you play this in co-op? Should you play this in solo? Which one is the better option if you were to hop into this map within 2025? Well, if you like doing things with your friends, you like completing Easter egg quests, co-op is the way to go. But if you're more strictly a high round player, someone that wants to get to a very high round, honestly, solo is the best way to go because you can just rock the Ice Staff and you can just actually really get to a high round without worrying about anyone else out there. But with that all being said, is Origins actually as good as we remember? Well, I think personally, it is perfectly rated out there. It really did hold up all the way 12 years later, which is insane. Because honestly, going back and playing this map really does feel like a true zombies masterpiece out there. Sure, I have different favorite maps than you guys, but this really is perfectly rated. It's not overrated, it's not underrated. The map is just perfect. So now I want to hear you guys in the comment section below. I will be reading all the comments for this one. And what's your favorite thing about Origins, or what's your most hated thing about Origins? Yo, be creative, be funny. I don't even care because I like reading all your guys' comments down below. But what map should I do next? Should I do Mob of the Dead next? Should I do Der Eisendrache next? Let me know down there in the comment section below as well. But I just want to say, if you guys did enjoy the video, please smash that thumbs up button. And also, subscribe to the channel if you guys do want to see more videos like this. We cover zombies here on the channel. We also cover a little bit of multiplayer. You guys name it. With that all being said and done, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. This is BearZ signing off. Stay healthy, stay clean. Bye.